Ring ring, it's time for another episode of Crossplay Conversations, the show where we dive deep on the world of video games while keeping it light. I'm your host, Jacob McCourt, and today I have one friend with me. They are one half of the Playlog Podcast with CG Danny B. They are a reviewer for SoManyGames.co.uk. They are an indie game creator on YouTube and Twitch. Today I'm joined by Mix Play Nice Kids themselves. Tofr, hello.
Hello, nice to be here.
We are so happy to have you. We had your colleague Danny on I think about a year ago, so this is long overdue. Thank you for being here. I know I introduced you off the hop, but I'd love to hear it from you, like what your thing is and what games you like to play.
Sure thing. I'm all about indie games. I used to create content on TikTok covering indie games of all sorts before life got in the way. But luckily, as you mentioned, CG Danny B, he texted me and was like, hey, how about us doing a podcast together? I'm like, absolutely. So ever since, it's been a little bit over a year now. We've been doing our weekly podcast, the Playlog Podcast, where we talk about anything that comes to mind when you talk indie games. We talk about new releases that we've played. We do book clubs on classics that we've missed or recent games that we didn't get round to playing. We do fun games like quizzes and stuff. And then aside from the podcast, I also started writing reviews for So Many Games, which started at the end of last year. So that's also been over half a year now. Damn. I didn't even realize. But yeah, that's most of what I do.
I love it. And for folks who are listening to this, if you're looking for more podcasts, because we are only bi-weekly, the podcast that they put together, Playlog, is very similar in energy to this show, maybe a little longer, and these folks play way more indies than we do, and so if you're looking for more podcasts, please find that one. Tofr, we're so happy to have you on the show today. We're going to talk about a couple of things today. So both of us have played Ape Out in anticipation of the team's new game coming out later this year, so we're going to talk about Ape Out in book club format, and then after that we've got a mini indie roundup. We've got about 5 titles that we want to jump in. So today, no icebreaker. We're going to go straight into our Ape Out book club. It's a game that I've had on my list for many years to check out, just because aesthetically it looks cool and your boy loves a short game. Tofr, you've played this one before though, right?
Yeah, I played it 6 years ago, so I think that was about when it came out. And that was the last time I played it. So playing it now felt like playing a new game, basically.
I love it. How did you play this one? I played this one. I bought a Switch copy many years ago and then never touched it. And so this is, I think, maybe the first game I finished that's a single player game on my Switch 2.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I've had it in my Steam library for all these years, so I tried it on Steam Deck and it runs very beautifully, actually.
That's unsurprising, given kind of what the game's all about. For folks who don't know about Ape Out, I guess maybe we should share like high level what it is, and then I'd love to kind of hear high level what you think about it. Why don't you start kind of filling in the blank, and then I'll kind of add on from there.
Sure. Ape Out is a game in which you play as a gorilla who is stuck within a building. And you have to get out. But the cool thing is, your whole escape is soundtracked by jazz music that reacts to everything that you do and everything that happens to you. So no two playthroughs will be alike. It also looks beautiful. It has really striking visuals, very colorful. And yeah, it's all about escaping and smashing people into walls and out of windows.
Yeah, I'm totally with you. And for me, it's like 1/3, weirdly enough, gameplay wise, like Hotline Miami. 1/3, Hey King Kong, because it's about a gorilla, and then 1/3 the movie Whiplash with J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller, because that's all I could think about when I heard the soundtrack for that one.
Yep.
And then the visuals, they almost remind me of when graffiti artists will use a stencil on a wall That's kind of what the
Oh,
aesthetic felt like for me the entire time. And it's,
yeah.
at one time on screen, there might only be 5 or 6 colors at once, and they do shift and change depending on what happens in the actual world itself.
Hmm.
But I was always drawn in based on how visually striking this game was, because there's, I don't want to say there's low, um, the visuals aren't complex, but I think they're
Hmm.
wildly striking.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. It reminded me kind of like shadow play on a wall.
Yeah.
When
Yes.
people create, like, it reminded me of that, and I like that. There was another game I played a number of years ago called A Case of Distrust,
Hmm.
which is a detective visual novel set in,
Hmm.
I think, the 20s, the 1920s.
Hmm.
And it had that similar vibe to it. It shared like a similar soundtrack, but especially the visuals, where people didn't have faces; they just had the idea of a face.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this game reminded me of that a lot.
And you can tell from the way that the gorilla moves that, there's, I don't want to say it's rigging, but the actual gorilla itself looks like there's a lot going on there. And if
Hmm.
they put a different mesh on top of it, I'm sure that you would end up with a gorilla that's, of average complexity or higher.
Hmm.
But yeah, wildly striking visual style. The game itself is split into 4 discs, and
Hmm.
then within those discs there are 7 or 8 levels, depending on which disc that you're on.
Hmm.
One of them, exactly as you said, you're sort of escaping what appears to be like a testing lab. In one of them, you're escaping a building. Then you're out in the jungle for the third disc, and then the fourth disc, you're on a ship where you're like a cargo ship that you're trying to escape.
Hmm.
I will say I love this game. I'm kicking myself that I didn't play it when it came out many years ago,
Hmm.
and I went from someone could because Baby Steps kind of reminded me a lot of the complexity of a getting over it,
Hmm.
and that kind of to me is not appealing, and that's because I'm a terrible gamer. As many games as I was actually, I had some people over and they were like, Jacob, for as much as you love video games, you actually are really bad at them. And so seeing Baby Steps, I was a little intimidated, but I will say after playing Ape Out, I've gone from not being interested at all about the team's new game Baby Steps to
Hmm.
being curious.
Yeah.
I'd love to know overall how you felt about this one, and if it's changed your perspective on playing Baby Steps.
I'm in a similar position to you actually, because the whole thing about like the content I create for YouTube and Twitch is that I play on easy mode.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a good gamer at all, and for that reason I kind of struggled with Ape Out actually.
Mm-hmm.
Especially there's like a level where they're introducing flamethrowers, and I got so stuck on that one. Um, but at the same time, I love this game. It's so good, and I feel like it's underappreciated when you think of like the Devolver Digital label
Mm-hmm.
and the classics that they've put out.
Mm-hmm.
It often feels like Ape Out doesn't get the mention that it deserves.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's visually striking. The gameplay feels so smooth, like, and so instinctive as well. There's no explanations, but you just know what you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and for that reason, I'm again in the same spot as you. I'm curious about Baby Steps just because of the people who are making it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah.
You bring up instinct, and I think that's one of my favorite parts in the gameplay, where so the thing we didn't mention is in each of these levels, you alluded to it, there's a flamethrower person, there's people that are trying to shoot and kill you,
Mhm.
and you have essentially 3 times you can be shot before your run ends.
Mhm.
And these screens, as going from beginning to end, can be lengthy. Like it can take you kind of 90 seconds in some ways to make it from one end of the screen to the end of the screen, and that's a distinct
Mhm.
level. If you die, you're starting over from the beginning. But instinct, essentially. I almost found myself taking on animalistic instincts where if someone has a gun that makes it on screen, you have about 2 to 3 seconds to make it to them before they will shoot you dead. And the amount of times that I just saw man ran at man to beat him up, it just always felt good to. I wasn't thinking. I was just operating on instinct alone.
Yeah, I get that, and that's why the flamethrower dudes threw me off so much, because, like you said, usually the people with guns, you have 2 to 3 seconds to reach them, but the flamethrower people, I felt, took they were a bit quicker. You had to reach them in less time.
Yep.
And it threw off my instinct. I was at the beginning, I was just running at them just as I would any other enemy. But then all of a sudden I realized maybe sometimes I need to run away and get out of, make sure that they cannot reach me with their flames. Instinct does really play a big part in this game. It especially in the last level, which we'll probably discuss a bit later on. But I felt like I was, I don't know how, but I identified with that ape trying to escape. I felt that urge of like, I want revenge. That guy just shot me. Let me just punch him in the face. and yeah, especially that the last level felt incredibly liberating after everything that you had gone throughout the first 3 discs.
Yeah. Within those discs, they keep layering on different, types of baddies. You mentioned the flamethrower person, and I'm with you. Where they start their flamethrower almost at second number 1, and if you're really close to the flamethrower, guy, you're gonna get burned.
Yeah.
But again, it requires almost like a different sort of, if you maneuver around him, you can avoid it. But, between that and there's, a character that has, body armor. There's someone that, eventually throws dynamite at you. And there's just multiple ways that you can deal with enemies, even though the controls are so simple. All that you have is move. Your right stick can kind of help you maneuver either your punches or when you grab someone, where you can throw them. But beyond the 2 control sticks, it's really just left trigger, right trigger. Right trigger is punch, left trigger is grab. And yes, it's simple, but based on the environment, there's tons of ways to deal with your enemies, from pushing them into another enemy to kind of stun them. You can, if you're in the high rise, you can push them out the window, or if you're on the ship, you can push them out to sea. And if you push them onto a wall, and I will tell you, the first time I did it, I got a real chuckle out of it, which, maybe a little sadistic of me to say, but they just explode into a pile of, like, it's not violent. It's no different than like when your frog gets crushed in Frogger, that sort. But you just explode. The enemy explodes into a pile of blood and limbs that you can then pick up and throw at other enemies.
Yep.
Any comments on sort of the simplicity of controls and sort of the different enemies that got layered on?
I think they were presented in an interesting way, like the way gameplay evolved, learning from what has come before, was really well done. Like the first couple of levels on each disc were like introducing you to, like, this is your environment. Get used to what this environment is like. And then when you get used to that, they'll throw new enemy types at you, which you then treat differently depending on which environment you are in. I thought it was really well done, especially with the controls being pretty simple. But for example, one of the things I liked a lot is when you grab an enemy, they will shoot at whoever they're facing. But the thing is, some enemies, they just do one shot straight ahead, but like another enemy will do a spray of bullets, which you can use to your advantage. So there's plenty of strategy within the simplicity, and I enjoyed that a lot.
Even the Rocket Man, I guess I'll call them, that you get late in the game, who I think is the only enemy that can kind of one shot kill you. That projectile adds another layer entirely of strategy, because it can explode and kill. It has a pretty it can go pretty far. The projectile can go quite far.
Hmm.
So yeah, even later in the game, they just keep adding those layers of strategy that you can add on, even the small mechanical stuff. So eventually you're pulling large steel doors open, and then you can use that steel door as a shield that you can either throw at enemies or just drop and then punch.
Hmm.
Or on the last level of the steel containers, you can open those steel container doors and sort of almost use them as a maze where you
Hmm.
can get around enemies that might be causing you problems. So if there's an enemy above you and there's a steel container, you can come through the steel container and use the door to kill them. There's just like, it's on its face, it looks very simple, but
Hmm.
it's got so much amazing and fun gameplay nuance to it that
Yeah.
even I was surprised about.
Yeah. It has a big amount of ingenuity, which is not a surprise seeing who the people are behind the game.
Mm-hmm.
But still, it felt so good, and especially with you not being given any instructions. Like, the game doesn't tell you that you can use those doors,
Mm-hmm.
but you
Nope.
you immediately understand that you can, and that's something I haven't seen in that many games yet. Despite this being a like 6-year-old game now.
Mm-hmm. I even loved like the high rise level, because depending on the level, some levels are sort of one straight shot from end to end. But
Hmm.
what the high rise level does is you have 30 floors to escape, and each distinct level is about 4 floors.
Yeah, something like that.
4 floors, 8 levels. You can kind of do the math there, but making your way across one floor, down across another, um, the way the level geometry changed, I thought was quite fun too.
Yeah, absolutely. I enjoyed it too that whenever you die and you go back to the start of the level, you won't have the exact same layout in front of you. The game changed it every time. The end goal was
Mm,
at the same place, but everything in between, the enemy placement, where there are walls that you can't pass through, was different each time, which kept things fresh and
hmm.
interesting.
I didn't
Um,
realize that the levels were changing. I did for sure feel the enemy placements changing, but I
mhm,
think that's even wilder that I'm sure it's built off the same basic blocks, but to have
mhm.
those blocks change, that's cool.
Yeah, it is. Um, with the amount that of times that I've died, especially in the later levels, that
Mhm.
was welcome too, because it made me try new things. It made me. What happens with me when I play games very often is that I don't think about playing them. I just play
Mhm.
them on instinct,
Mhm.
and sometimes that just makes me very bad at a game because there's a level of strategy that you need.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, and this game allowed me to like when I died at one moment, I was like, maybe I should think about this. Maybe there are groups of enemies that instead of just trying to take them all out, I should try to avoid.
Mhm.
And
I definitely, I'm with you. I was like that on the ship for sure.
mhm, yeah, the ship especially. Also, the level before that in the jungle with all of the bombs exploding around
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
That one was a struggle. Uh, but yeah, it was the game just it allows you to quickly restart in the same way that something like Celeste does.
Mhm.
Like, you die, okay, try again. And while when I played this the first time, I struggled with this way more because I have an extreme fear of failure. Like, it's invalidating. Like,
Mhm.
I stop playing certain games just because I know I can't beat them on the first try, so I
Mhm.
stop playing them. Um, but playing it now, I was just like, okay, time to rethink this. Just take a moment, learn how these enemies react, learn
Mhm.
what the level layout can be like, and try to use that to your advantage. And the game gives you that option just in such a good way.
Mhm. I'd love to know. I know we've talked a little about the levels in the game here, but I'd love to know if you had any standout moments, or if you had a favorite tape between the four, or even specific track that you appreciated the most?
My favorite tape is definitely the high rise, because just throwing
Same.
people out of windows was was too much fun.
Yes.
I also liked the addition of snipers that were in other buildings.
Yes.
That was a really cool addition to that one.
Mhm.
But my very favorite moment of the game has to be the entire final level, because it felt like when while you were being while you were focusing on strategy during most of the levels, this one is just rage out, Hulk out, and smash things and free the other animals that are trapped
Yeah.
in the same kind of zoo or whatever it was, and just smash everything and escape.
Mhm.
And that felt so good after like the build up we had in the previous levels and the previous
Mhm.
tapes. That felt like such a great, like, bringing it all home moment.
Yeah, I mean, I think, and keep me honest here if I'm not right, but I think it's the same ape that then just gets recaptured a bunch of times before, finally being free. And so,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, it was really nice to have that after the penultimate level, which I think is the hardest level in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, that's the only level I really struggled with. I would say the first tapes I made through the first tapes in maybe 15 to 20 minutes.
Okay.
But the last tape took me almost an hour, which is probably what they had
Okay.
envisioned. But that penultimate level, I could not beat it. So to go through that one, no joke, probably 60 times. I think I died maybe 90 times on that last tape. But
Mm-hmm.
to go from that level of difficulty to the sweet release of letting my animal friends go and having them and their AI like go and kill people for you,
Mm-hmm.
it was just like a wonderful way to finish the game.
Yeah. I'm surprised that the penultimate level was the most difficult one. Maybe that's how it should be, but I struggled more with the burnout level on in the
Mm.
third tape,
Hmm.
because that's the first time the flamethrowers get introduced,
Yes.
and you have the bombs dropping from the air as well. And I got stuck. I actually had to stop playing for like a couple of hours
Oh wow.
while doing that one, and then return to it, because I
Mhm.
was getting so impatient. I was getting so stressed. I needed to back out a little bit.
I would say that that's probably the level that took me the second most amount of tries, but
Okay.
but again, from like a dozen tries to 60, no joke, like 50 or 60 times to beat that penultimate one.
Yeah. It's an
Yeah,
intense one.
sure is. So we've talked through a lot. I think this is like a high recommendation from both of us.
Hmm.
If what we have gone through or what we have talked about has seemed interesting to any degree, I think please grab this game. I'm sure I'm gonna check while we talk here. It is 80% off. In the summer Steam sale, but even if because this is coming out after the summer Steam sale, you can get this game for like $14.99 US regular times. Worth it, entirely
Yeah.
worth it. So I'd love to know if you have any final thoughts about it, and then I'd love to get into recommendations of games like this if people have played it and they want to hear different recos from us.
Okay. Um, the thing is, I don't usually like games like this, because I'm so bad at gaming, and especially combat in games.
Mhm.
Um, I usually don't play games like these. But
Mhm.
Ape Out has such a unique style to it, such a unique vibe. It has these, like, the audio work on this game is just
Oh,
phenomenal.
yep.
And I don't mean just the music. Like, the music, jazz, feels great. Not always my
Mhm.
tempo, but um, it's the audio work. Like, you can hear when you're in a different level. I really noticed that one that most when I started the final tape. The first time you smack someone into a container on that ship, and I'm
Yes.
like, damn, that's such a cool sound. And
Mhm.
it's just really well done.
It
Combine
really
that.
felt like someone took a stick to a container on a ship, and
Yeah,
that was the sound you got.
exactly.
Yeah.
So take great audio work with fantastic music,
Hmm.
take beautiful visuals that do
Hmm.
a lot with very little,
Hmm.
and take gameplay that feels incredible. Like the smashing of people into walls feels so satisfying.
Mm-hmm.
It reminded me of like what it must feel like to be Wolverine and just
Yeah.
tearing apart people with your claws, like
Yes.
that animalistic kind of anger.
Mm-hmm.
Take all of those things and bring them together, and they become even more than the sum of their parts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's quite the achievement for me.
I mean, for me, it almost felt like the feeling you get by being a ninja or a samurai, like Ria Hayabusa,
Hmm.
where you can strike someone down with a single blow. That's the power. Because yes, you're a gorilla who rages out and hulks out and destroys all men in front of them. But weirdly enough, there was a precision to what you were doing, which I just expected to Hulk out the entire time, but
Hmm.
there was a degree of precision that was needed to accomplish it, and your little gorilla character did that well. And like you said, no instructions. Instruction is ape out,
Yeah.
and you know
Yeah.
exactly what you must do.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously, I'd love to know from you. You don't play a lot of games like this, but is there any game that almost captured the same feeling that you got from playing Ape Out?
The only games I could think of were like Hotline Miami 1 and 2. You
Mm-hmm.
mentioned them
Mm-hmm.
before, but I still need to go back and play those again because
Mm-hmm.
I played them when I was still struggling with what I mentioned before with the whole I have to be perfect at everything from the first try.
Mm-hmm.
So that was not the right time to be playing those games.
Mm-hmm.
But, but I feel like it's the same trial and error kind of gameplay. You
Mm-hmm.
go in, you see like, can you beat them this way? No, you died. Okay, you try again, and you learn. You take everything that you learn with you, and you learn more about the enemies with each failure. It also has that same like it also has an insane soundtrack. Um, it also has like the this kind of violence that just feels so great to play.
Yes.
So yeah, that's why I would recommend those two games.
Yeah, take the violence from this one, and almost the motivation for the violence, and
Hmm.
crank it to 11.
Yeah,
I played Hotline Miami 1, but I've been meaning to play Hotline Miami 2 wrong number for many, many, many years. That to me seems like a game where you would. I haven't played my PlayStation Vita a lot. I
hmm,
got a PlayStation Vita very, very late. I think like even after it had kind of been out for years, I got a Vita. Someone was selling, and
same.
I got it for very cheap. That is a game I'd want to go back and play on Vita.
Hmm.
Weirdly enough, I have one other recommendation, sort of in the same realm. Have you played Katana Zero?
I haven't, but Danny has been telling me I should.
Mm-hmm. I would say I don't know if Katana Zero is a good fit for you, and I
Hmm.
only say that because if Ape Out is a 6 or a 7 from probably like a difficulty standpoint for you,
Hmm.
step up to a 7 or an 8 for a Hotline Miami. Katana Zero is a 10. Like that game is just
Oof.
a little more challenging
Yeah,
to the point where I don't know if it would be something I'd recommend for you strictly based on that.
yeah, that makes
It's
sense.
almost like you'd graduate from Ape Out to Hotline Miami, and then from Hotline Miami to Katana Zero. If you're still looking for challenge and something like it,
Hmm. Maybe I should
yeah.
try it and first play Hotline Miami. Try and beat that for the first time.
Hmm.
And
Oh,
if that
you never beat
works,
Hotline Miami.
no, I haven't.
Okay, okay. I mean that game isn't. If Ape Out, the one thing we didn't say is, I think Ape Out took me maybe somewhere between 90 minutes and 2 hours to beat.
Yeah,
Is that about where you fell?
yeah, same.
Yeah. So I think Hotline Miami is maybe double or triple that in length because it
Hmm.
can get a little more challenging. I want to say Katana Zero is even longer than that. So
Really?
it seems
Okay.
like you have a lot of game ahead of you.
Nice.
Yeah, Katana Zero looks like 5 hours. So maybe actually, if I'm just revising myself here, maybe it's about the same length as it's about the same length as Hotline Miami one.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, yeah. So
Might have to do a book club episode on that.
it sounds like something you need to tell your co-host Danny to get a book club going on. The second Hotline Miami is double in length, and I'm not entirely sure how they accomplish that, but the second game is like almost 10 hours in length.
Wow. That
Yeah.
seems intense.
It sure does. It sure does. Any final thoughts on Ape Out before we move to the mini indie roundup section of the show?
I would just recommend people to, like, even if you don't like the genre, to just give it a try. You'll get something out of it. If it's not the gameplay, then it's the music or the visuals. There's something there. And it really makes you appreciate how game design doesn't need to be difficult. It can be simple, and it can still have all of the depth that you're looking for.
Agreed. I'm with you. It's beautiful in its simplicity, and it's something that if you have 2 hours on a sort of rainy summer or fall afternoon, please play it.
Yeah, exactly. Just do it with the audio on. Like, don't play it while listening to something else. Immerse yourself into the audio of this game.
Headphones on so you can hear the wonderful little sound effects, and then the music that kind of changes as you play.
Yep.
All right. So that was the section of the show about Ape Out. We're now going to move on to a mini indie roundup. So we've got 5 titles here that we've been playing, some new, some a little older, that we're going to dive into here. Some of them are brand spanking new this month. So what I'd love to do is I'd love to start and talk about a game that I've been wildly anticipating, very excited for. This one is Everdeep Aurora. This one is another Eastbrid joint. I've said many times on this pod that I think Eastbrid, their portfolio, they're from different genres, but all of their games have a wildly specific vibe to them, where it's almost, I don't want to say vibes first, but they have something to say from an artistic standpoint, even though the genres are quite different throughout. So Everdeep Aurora is I don't want to diminish it by saying it's a digging game, but essentially you play as a cat whose mom has disappeared, and it's your job to dig down to try and find her. You'll gather power-ups, you'll meet friends, and explore a very vertical environment. It's one that on this show we gave it our game of show at a PAX previously. And Tofr, I'm here to report that unfortunately I am somewhat disappointed with Everdeep Aurora.
Really? Oh no!
So I played through this one, and I do have to call out here. I did receive a code for this one, so thanks to Eastbrid for sending a code for the game. I think it's beautiful. So it's got this like Game Boy Color sort of aesthetic to it, where the sprite work is great, and the environments are quite simple. And my issue with the game principally is actually around the difficulty of figuring out what you need to do next and where to go. So I think that the map, there is a map on the right-hand side of the screen, but one thing that's missing, there's no quest log. There's no signposting to be like, here's what you have to do next. So I found myself, and this is kind of my largest critique with the game, is at multiple points I kind of got to, I don't know really what I have to do next. And there is a character in a pub at one point in the environment where you can go to them and they can give you a hint as to what is next. But I end up finding, because I played this game before it came out, when there's no walkthrough available, I just know if you are playing it now, there'd be many points where you'd have to go to a walkthrough, or go to this character to ask you for a hint, to kind of figure out what's next. And because of the way the environment is designed, there's a couple of points where you have to go is actually just like a little hole in the environment that isn't like wildly, like it doesn't call attention to itself wildly well. And so what I found is no map that I could even, there was a map on the side, but you couldn't expand it. You couldn't like go into menu, zoom in. There was no like flag to say like, here's where you need to go, which again, I think is fine. Some players might really enjoy the ability to just, or the the need to kind of figure out what's next yourself, but not even really knowing what the next real objective is. If this game had a quest log, I don't think I would be complaining as much. But it's really I felt like at multiple points this thing was aimless, and it's a non-combat game, which I have no issue with. It is principally about traversal and exploration. But some hints and some indication on what to do next or where to go is needed, and that's like my big complaint about this one.
That's too bad. I understand, like it has a retro vibe that it wants to like present in the entirety of the game, not just the visuals. But it's 2025, and there are certain modern aspects of games that we just need now.
Yep, I'm totally with you. And it's beyond that, it would be one thing too if, and you can traverse, you can actually like at one point hit the select button, and then there are base camps that you have where you can traverse between different base camps throughout the level. But anytime that you travel between those base camps, the digging that you've done sort of resets. And also anytime you quit the game and come back, the digging that you have done kind of resets as well. Oof. So there's just a couple of interesting decisions. And I think that there's the inventory system is a challenge so if the game is mostly vertical. So if you're on a widescreen, everyone's on a widescreen now, essentially like the gameplay takes place in what looks like a 4x3 section of the 16:9 screen. I mentioned the map on the right-hand side, but then your inventory is always displayed on the left. And the way that you go through your inventory is also somewhat cumbersome, where you can only use the left and right on the D-pad to go between items. And at one point you have 30 items in your inventory. And some of those are pockets where other things go in, like there'll be a pocket for notes and keys. So again, it's a pretty cumbersome inventory as well. There's you end up gaining more abilities to traverse. You gain an ability to do a wall jump. You will gain other abilities. I won't spoil them since the game is relatively new, but you'll gain other ways to traverse. And the camera just gets a little bit jerky when you kind of move really quickly, to the point where I had another friend of mine who's playing it, and they kind of said like, camera feels a little jerky when you're moving. Like it's not meant to be a game where your character moves really quickly. And then the last thing I'll say is I did play this one once through and beat it. My understanding is that there's potentially additional things that you can gain to get other endings. But the ending, if this is the normal ending that I saw, again, we're recording this before the game is out. So I don't exactly know what the true ending looks like. But as a non-violent game, obviously no boss fights. But essentially, I don't want to say I was like 3/4 paying attention, but when you kind of get into those moods where you're like, I'm gaming, I'm just talking to a character and I'm 3/4 paying attention, did not realizing that was the final conversation, and the game just ends. So look, I don't want to totally trash Everdeep Aurora, because I think it has a lot of cool stuff to it. Very few games have this aesthetic. I think the core gameplay is pretty good, but I just had a lot of issues with the little things, the camera, the inventory system, the map, no quest log. Where I'll have a review of this game hopefully up on thegamingbrief.ca when you check this episode out. And this is a game that I'm either going to give a 6.5 or a 7. It is not a bad game. It just I had outsized expectation for it, and it just falls maybe a little flat of that.
That's a shame, because I think most people who know of this game have pretty high expectations for it. So I'm guessing there's going to be more people disappointed.
Not a bad game by any means. Just kind of a little disappointing. And maybe it's something, based on some of the things that I've said, if they had a quest log, I think that this game could even get a 0.5 strictly from getting a quest log. Wow. So maybe something that they add. If they improve the inventory system and add a quest log, I think this game is more recommendable. But if the vibes with you, then maybe you check it out. I don't know if there was a demo that was available on Steam. The problem with that demo is that it was of a almost like a self-contained hide and seek minigame and not
Oh,
what the game is actually about, which is also an interesting choice.
yeah.
But maybe if that demo's still available, you can check it out. And if the game vibes with you, then and if you don't mind a little bit of aimless exploration or using a walkthrough, then it might be for you. Those are my thoughts about Everdeep Aurora. I said the word trash because I was using that to jump into the first game I'd love you to talk about. I saw this and didn't know anything about it. Tell me about Trash Goblin.
Oh, really? Okay. Trash Goblin is a game in which you are a goblin who works at like this trinket store.
Okay.
Where you excavate no, you don't excavate them, they've already been excavated, but you get them from the dirt, you clean them up. Sometimes you even upcycle them, like when you get different parts from a sword, like you put the handle and the blade together, and you sell it to people. And that's the basic premise of the game. And I've been playing this ever since it released in early access last year. I already had about 40 hours in just during early access.
Whoa.
When it didn't even have the story mode yet. It was just cleaning stuff and selling it. But it's just so enjoyable. But now the 1.0 release has come. And the story mode has been added, and yeah, the sad thing is my save file from the early access didn't carry over to the full release.
No.
But that's okay, because now I get to experience the story the way it should be experienced, and it's so far it's really cool. I'm already, I think, about 5 or 6 hours in again. It's just so much fun. Like if you enjoy games like Power Wash Simulator, where you're just doing work, but it's satisfying, then Trash Goblin is just an amazing game to play. You have your file to just get the trinkets out of the dirt. When you've done that and you know what kind of trinket it is, you can clean it up with a sponge. You can upgrade all of your tools to make to work more efficiently. It's not a game for everyone. I'm very aware of that, but just doing this, like while watching something on like Twitch or YouTube and just playing this, it's so satisfying.
Look, I've been looking for games to. I think Assemble with Care is one that I think about often. Did you play that one on Apple Arcade? I have been looking for games that replicate that feeling for a long time. The new game published by Toge, Undusted Letters from the Past.
Yeah,
kind of is the vibe I'm looking for. So just watching the gameplay of this to see excavate it out of rock and then clean it up. I think you've got me here. I didn't even realize. And this one just came out in May of this year, and I had no idea this was a thing.
Yeah, I've been following it since it launched its Kickstarter last summer, and it really advertised itself as a game for Power Wash fans. But the funny thing is, this one was announced before Undusted was announced. Because I thought Undusted was like inspired by this game, but I think both of them. I did I play a demo for Undusted? I think so.
I think it was just in this past Next Fest, maybe, or slightly before that.
Yeah,
it might have been part of like Ludonarracon, I think.
That could be it. Yeah, but they're equally as satisfying. Like I highly recommend it. And now with the story mode as well, now you have to like do quests for people. You get to move to different parts of the town with your cart. You're not just stuck inside your shop anymore. But yeah, seeing the numbers go up when you sell things after you've done all of that work, very satisfying.
Tofr, I love watching numbers go up. Okay, I think you've sold me on this one. The Trash Goblin. This one's on Steam. It looks to be $19.99 US. Again, Steam sale a little cheaper, but this is coming out afterwards. And there appears to be bundles too, where you can grab other games. So rad. I love this.
Yeah,
I love this.
I've loved this game since the first time I played it. I think I played the demo for it during a Next Fest or something. That's how it came to be on my radar.
Did you
But
kickstart
yeah,
it as well, or
yeah, I did.
you did? Okay. Do you
Yeah.
kickstart a lot of games? Because I just kickstarted my first game in a video game in a very long time. I kickstarted Big Hops, the new Chris
Oh.
Wade luck shot games.
Hmm.
Sausage Club Party, and I think there might be one more, but I saw the aesthetic of that one. I was like, 3D platformer with frog that tongues, done, sold.
I try to back some games on Kickstarter only if I really like what I'm seeing. There's one Kickstarter that goes live tomorrow as of this recording, for Spill the Beans, which is a visual novel where you have to investigate who has stolen the secret recipe from a coffee shop, but you were the one who stole it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
So
We
you have
had
to throw other people off your scent?
Yep. We had the developers for that game on the Playlog Podcast a couple of months ago.
Mhm.
Very nice people. Very much a lot of fun to talk to. But yeah, this game is so much fun because you've got your typical detective style visual novel, but
Mhm.
there's also tons and tons of gaslighting.
I love it. That sounds entirely like my shit. So we'll make sure and include the links to all the games that we're talking about in the show notes. And then what I'll make sure to do as well is link your interview with the team from Skeletal Games from Playlog in the show notes if you guys want to check it out after this.
Cool.
Got a few more games here. I want to chat quickly about Missile Command Delta. This one also, thank you to those games publisher for sending over a copy of this game for me to try. This one comes from a collaboration between 13 AM Games and Mighty Yell. We're big fans of Mighty Yell. They're working on this one in addition to All Systems Dance. Their first games being Night in the Attic and The Big Con. I played this one at PAX East. This is being published by Atari based on the classic Missile Command IP, and I'm here to report that I'm enjoying it. It is a game that is kind of two components. The first is the core gameplay, which very much had Into the Breach vibes, where your job is to protect the bases. You know, if there's a vertical playing field, your job is to protect the bases at the bottom of the field from incoming missiles that are coming through, but they're turn-based.
Mm-hmm.
And so most of the time, missiles will either come from the top or the sides of the screen and be like, cool, this turn, this is exactly, foreshadowing what's going to happen. This turn, this one's going to come right at this base and destroy it. So you have to intercept. Or there'll be sort of two-step missiles or multiple step missiles that'll come on screen and be like, here's the exact path that the missile is going to take. And so it's your job, given the missiles, the inventory of cards that you have, to play them to essentially wipe the missiles that are coming towards you. So that's the core gameplay. But then layered on top of this is a first-person single-player narrative where you and your teen friends get stuck in a bunker, and you kind of have to figure out the mystery of what's happening in the bunker. That was the thing that surprised me. At PAX, they were showing the two sides of the game, the core gameplay on a giant, like they had recreated the command center that was in the game in a physical space, which was super cool. So I tried that at PAX and said, dope. Into the Breach vibes, say less. And then they were also doing a demo for the single player, and I'd heard from other folks that they were like, this is intriguing. I've played about 2.5 hours as of recording. It's split up into multiple days, and I know that there's 7 days in the single player, and I'm at day 3, so I'm assuming this game is somewhere between 5 to 7 hours in length to play the single player, and it's split between training to learn the mechanics, actual missiles that are coming for you, and then exploration of the base to find keys and solve puzzles. And I'm genuinely surprised here. Not to say I went in. I kind of went in with low expectations, or like I kind of got more excited when I had seen the pedigree behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Two Toronto-based devs making a Missile Command game got me excited. But I was genuinely surprised, and I really liked my time with this one so far. We'll see how it ends. We'll see how it progresses. But it had just enough complexity in the single-player puzzles and stuff that you were figuring out, and the dialogue. There was a lot of good writing in there too. So of course, I'm like, if you don't vibe with the core gameplay of like turn-based, card-based, kind of into the breach vibes, if that doesn't vibe with you, then I can't recommend this. But if that is something that you like, you're gonna love all the stuff around it.
Listen, you've got me sold on this already. I just added it to my wish list.
Hell yeah. I'm surprised at how I feel like this game has kind of run under the radar a little bit because
Yeah.
it got announced. I want to say about 6 months ago it got announced. 6 months or less actually, and then it's already out. So I love games that it does seem somewhat limited in scope as far as the single player goes. Like, look, this isn't the complexity of puzzles that you'd get in a Blueprints. But it is, and not even because the gameplay reminded me of Escape Academy a little bit from I think Coin Arcade is the developer on that one. The second one's coming out soon. It reminded me of like a lighter version of that, where obviously you're not escaping a room, but it is very much like escape room style, where each day you may have 2 or 3 puzzles or things to find in the environment, some conversations that lead you to these military exercises or like military confrontations. It's cool. I vibe with it a lot.
I don't know if correct me if I'm wrong here, but it kind of reminds me of Inscription, where you have like the card game, where this is the tactical combat, and then the puzzle solving on the side, but like take the horror out of it.
Yes,
so that sounds
like
really cool.
Like a lighter version of that, but structurally very similar.
Yeah.
Where it's like you will sit down to do the core gameplay, which in Inscription's case is cards. In this case is this missile command game. But then the wrapper around it is quite similar.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So enjoyed it. Obviously I'll share my full thoughts somewhere when I've had a chance to finish it up. Maybe we're planning on doing another indie roundup before PAX West. So maybe I'll do another check-in on this one at that point. So again, nice. Missile Command Delta from 13 AM Games and Mighty Yell. I think 13 AM Games before did the Runbow games, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they did Runbow. So that's their pedigree. Rad game. Highly recommend you check it out. Nice. We've got 2 more here on the list. You have been playing Fields of Mistria.
Yes, I have. I have been playing Fields of Mistria ever since the early access release. I've been playing a bit more of it recently, just because there's a big update coming this month. But yeah, for those who don't know what the game is, it's basically a modern take on Stardew Valley. If it was in more of a fantasy setting. Because there are hints at magic in Stardew, but this game fully embraces magic. You have spells that you work with. You can ride a magical horse at any time you want. I mean, and I have to say, like, I loved Stardew Valley. It's still one of the games I have the most hours in of any game I've ever played.
Wow!
Just because I find that gameplay loop so satisfying. And Fields of Mistria is just everything you could want from like a more modern take on the genre. It has quality of life improvements that Stardew Valley could have used. Like, for example, you can jump. I mean, who knew? Jumping in a farming simulator.
That doesn't sound allowed.
It's yeah. There's just so many good things about this, but my personal highlight for this game is the writing. The people that you meet are just like, I'm in winter of my second year now, and I still have not had repeat conversations, which I absolutely love. The game, the world of this game feels alive. Like, I collect something from the mines and put it in a museum, and then the next day someone will talk to me about a new piece in the museum, which I think is really cool. The other reason I like this game more than, for example, what was it called? Coral Island, is that this game feels a bit smaller in scope, which fits me perfectly. I enjoy having like the small town of villagers, so that allows me to talk to all of them in one day. that allows me time to still do all of the quests that I want to do. It's just really good. The music is fun. The visuals are nice. If you like your pixel art farming sims, it's just like, it feels like the upgrade to Stardew Valley that I've been looking for a number of years now.
Why should players jump in now? Because I think it's still in early access. Mm-hmm. You said that there's a new new gameplay elements or stuff that's being added. Is that being added soon or was just added?
It's being added soon. Okay. I think it's later this month, but I don't know the exact date. Let me see if I can find it.
Because I know that this game came in early access, I want to say 6 to 9 months ago. Sounds about like last year it came in early access.
Yeah, exactly.
So how much has the game progressed? And then like why is this the right time for Fields of Mistria?
Because I feel like this is the big update where the developers have listened to the players the most. The first update was like more content. For example, you can date some of the villagers, and in the first update you could go up to, I think, 4 hearts out of 10. Then with the second update you could go to 6 hearts out of 10. You could go deeper into the mines after the first update and stuff like that. So that first update felt very much like this is everything that we have to bring. But then they started listening to players, like what do you need? What do you want from us to add to the game to keep you playing? For example, and this might sound ridiculous, I don't know, but they're going to introduce bigger chests so you can hold more stuff.
Okay, I was like, what kind of chest? Bodily chests or
no.
Treasure chests? Got it.
Yeah, but the thing is, they're also introducing mechanics to organize your chests way more easily. So you can add some of the same materials more easily to the correct chest that they're in. Stuff like that. It really shows that they listen to what the players want. And I do think, let me check if I'm correct. I'm not sure. I thought I had heard that this was going to be the last update before the full release.
Oh, wow.
But I'm not entirely sure I'm correct about that. So don't quote me on it.
Well, I mean, so the early access notes on Steam essentially say that they want to do a year in EA with regular content updates. And then this launched in EA in August of 24. So that sort of lines up with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I can't believe that this game is so inexpensive. It's like less than $15 US. That's nuts. For these games always seem like they're less expensive than they should be.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Between Stardew and this.
In a world where you pay $80 for Mario Kart World, you could be playing Fields of Mistria for hundreds of hours. For what
you could buy Fields of Mistria, Stardew, Coral Island, and still have money left over.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I do want to ask you a question about a game that I saw this week. So at Summer Game Fest, the Blumhouse Games was showing off Grave Seasons. Have you seen Grave Seasons?
No, I haven't.
So it appears to be a farm sim, except on top of it, there's a supernatural serial killer that's trying to kill people. So
wow,
similar vibes to like a Stardew, where hey, you're managing your crops and your farm and you're worrying about relationships and romance, but also there's a giant werewolf that's slowly killing people in the town. So in hearing, I want to give credit to Remap Radio because they were the ones that kind of called it out for me to check out. And to have, one of the devs behind the game go, there will be some times where you are going to start a conversation thread with someone anticipating that you are going to continue it just to see that they get killed and that storyline just ends. And then you can also do crimes in the game too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Adding that one to my wish list right now.
Yeah. The name of the studio is perfect too. It's the studio name is Perfect Garbage, which I think is just an inspired name for a game studio.
Absolutely.
Again, we're linking all this in the description, so you can check out Grave Seasons. If you've already played Fields of Mistria, you've already played Stardew Valley, this one comes out in 26, so you can add it to your wish list.
Okay.
I've got one more, and this one I don't think will take that long for me to go through. I've been playing Squeakross, Home Squeak Home, and again, shout outs to the publisher for sending a code over for this one. Just want to make sure I get my disclosures out of the way. Hey, I got copy. This is a Picross game where there are 650 puzzles in Picross. I'm not the biggest Picross player, and so some of the formats for the Picross boards I think were unique. Instead of just having all 10 by 10s, 15 by 15s, sometimes you'll see a 10 by 15, sometimes you'll see a 12 by 18. So seeing those different formats was pretty cool. And every time that you do a Picross, you solve a Picross puzzle, you'll then get furniture. It's called Squeakross Home Squeak Home because it's all around mice. So you have a little mouse who you make at the start of the game, and each one of those pieces is either a piece of furniture, a piece of clothing, or a sticker. The stickers are stuff you can apply to the UI. Clothing, obviously, your character can wear. And then the furniture goes in your home. You can add rooms to your home as you keep playing. So it's this 80 to 90% of this gameplay is Picross. So from a Picross sickos, hey, this is a good one of those. But then there's this cool, 10% on top of it where you're decorating a room. You're clothing up your mouse. My mouse right now has a sunflower seed on its nose that it's wearing as a fashion accessory. So the vibes are cute, and some of the levels are more, or some of the puzzles are more complicated. So there's the I don't want to call it easy, but the normal mode, and then once you've completed some of those, you then get Ninny's challenge versions of those, where it is a more difficult puzzle and then gives you a color variation. So let's say you have a chair, you beat the regular chair level, and then you flip to the Ninny's the challenge level, let's call it. The character's name is Ninny, I think is how you say that. But the challenge version, which is more difficult and gives you a color variation of that chair. So it's a neat little game. It's something that I've played maybe 40 Picross out of the 650 different puzzles they have. And my partner's a big Picross sicko, and so I just started playing it, and she just kind of walked over and she's like, "Are you playing Picross?" So I think we're gonna end up trading back and forth and just kind of beating it together casually. I'm enjoying it. It's a neat little game. Squeakross Home Squeak Home. Are you a Picross person?
I am, and I had been looking forward to Squeakross for a very long time. I played it for review. Also got a review key for that.
Great.
And I adore this little game. There's not much more to it than the Picross. I mean, the decorating your animal's home is fun, and you can make it interact with the stuff that you put in the house. For example, I put an electrical appliance in it, and then made it interact with it, and it got zapped, got a little electrical zap. But all of at the same time, for example, I unlocked pride flags as stickers, and then when my mouse went to sleep, they dreamed of a pride flag, which was adorable. But yeah, the Picross feels really good to play. I have multiple Picross games in my library, and this is one of my favorite ones of those.
I end up playing the Neptune developed Picross S games, I think are the ones on Switch. I've played those ones. I think it's Neptune. Oh, Jupiter. Sorry. Jupiter Corporation is a developer. They make a bunch of Picross games. I've played, I think, parts of the first 3. There's 10 or 12 of them on Switch now. It's crazy. But similar level of the Picross just being very solid. And so if you're a Picross person, you need to run. Don't walk, run towards Squeakross Home Squeak Home.
Exactly.
Yeah. Cool. So again, just going through what we talked about: Everdeep Aurora, Trash Goblin, Missile Command Delta, Fields of Mistria, Squeakross Home Squeak Home. We've included Steam links for all of these. All of them are out. Fields of Mistria is early access, but the rest of these games are out. So if you grab them, great. If you wishlist them, also great. That's going to be our show for today. So Tofr, if folks want to find you on the internet, where's the best place they can do so? And if you want to promote any upcoming content, please do so.
The easiest way to find all of my stuff is through my Linktree, which is Play Nice Kids in one word. Be sure to check out the Playlog Podcast. We've just recently taken a look back at our favorite games from the first half of the year and looked forward to what we're looking forward to in the second half of the year. And we also just did an episode where we read Steam reviews to each other, and the other person has to guess which game we're talking about. Also, check out somanygames.co.uk. Me and my co-writers, we have plenty of reviews. I think almost daily there's a review on that site. And we also have a podcast over on YouTube. Go and check that out as well. And that, I think that's the main things I want to mention here.
We'll make sure to include, like I said before, the dev interview, and then I'll make sure to include the 2 episodes you mentioned of Playlog, and then also everything you've got going on will be in the doodly-doo, will be in the show notes. So please check that out. Tofr, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Sorry it took so long for us to get you on after Danny. It should have been quicker, so that's on us.
No. I'm just grateful that to be considered to come onto the show. So thank you for having me.
Of course. Before we close, we'd love for you to do 4 things for us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the video versions of the show. We've started doing short form content there too, so hopefully more people will see the silly antics that we get up to. You can follow us on BlueSky because that's where we'll be posting updates of the show. Send this podcast to a friend because that's how people hear about podcasts, and give us a review on your podcasting platform of choice. 5 stars or take it away because we ain't interested. A bunch of us are going to be at PAX West. So if you're going to be at PAX West, please let us know. More details on that soon. But with that, that's our show. And we've been saying touch grass lately. So I'm just going to say play some video games, then touch grass. Bye.